After days of demonstrations and mayhem that gripped Kenya, security forces are trying to restore normalcy to the African nation. However, the controversial finance bill, which has now been withdrawn, is still a sore subject among the country's people, especially amongst the youth. Some groups continued demonstrations on Thursday, calling for President Ruto to resign even after he accepted the will of the people and declined to sign the tax reform bill. Meanwhile, many families and businesses owners are still reeling from the aftermath of the deadly demonstrations that killed over 23 people and injured dozens. Family and locals laid to rest a 19-year-old who was shot twice by the police during Tuesday's clashes. Now, Abraham Kamau's death has become the focal point of Kenya's youth-led movement against corruption and governance.
Justice is not for him alone to me. Justice should be for all that were killed and injured because the majority of them were young. At the morgue, the bodies I saw were of young men below 25 years old. All I'm asking for is for justice to prevail.
Francis Ochieng is struggling to come to terms with the damage inflicted on his business in Nairobi. Days of anti-government protests in Kenya were accompanied by some vandalism and looting. Ochieng says he's lost almost $10,000 after his shop was set ablaze.
It is hard. I do not know where to start, and I have a family. I have a wife with a small child and school-going children. So from that day, I have not eaten. You see how I am right now. I do not know where to start.
Someone else likely counting the cost of the unrest, Kenya's President William Ruto.
I will not sign the 2024 finance bill.
His withdrawal of support for a finance bill has complicated efforts to tackle Kenya's heavy debt burden. Public borrowing is 68% of GDP, higher than the 55% recommended by the World Bank and the IMF. The IMF has urged Kenya to meet revenue targets to access more funding. The unpopular finance bill would have aimed to raise $2.7 billion through taxes on items including bread, cooking oil, and diapers. But now, Kenya is shifting from raising revenues to cutting spending. Ruto has said he will work on austerity measures, starting with cuts to the budget of the presidency. But political analyst James Shikwati said the protests have exposed deeper issues in Kenya.
So there's a finance bill, but there's also how the government is enacting its measures to widen the tax base. And those measures are actually stifling or killing enterprises. And it's enterprises that employ young people.
Shikwati said Ruto's election campaign message of 2 years ago, when he portrayed himself as a champion of low-income hustlers, had come back to bite him, and that young people are really, really mad at him. Some activists say they don't trust the government won't still try to implement tax rises, and many have vowed to keep calling for Ruto to step down.